Camping season is just right around the corner, and we have the perfect drink to sip while you sit around the campfire, a Smores Old Fashioned. So working at Riverboat Lounge, we usually have one smoked Old Fashioned per season. And last winter I wanted to do something that was campfire-ish for the winter time, and I thought a Smores Old Fashioned would be great. A lot of times, a lot of the S'mores drinks are sweet and sugary, which I understand, but I still wanted that true old-fashioned sense to be there. I don't know how long it took me to make this recipe up, but...
It wasn't that long.
Wasn't?
No, like maybe a week, a few different trials.
Okay. Sometimes it all seems like it's longer than what it is. Yeah, so we have just your simple 3-ingredient old-fashioned. Let's go over the ingredients. So the first thing I wanted to do was create a syrup that was marshmallow. This probably took me actually the longest to figure out because I didn't know how to do it, and every recipe online was honestly a bunch of bullshit. There's no way it worked, and I tried it. And a lot of them were those crappy food recipe websites where they're just pumping out content. You know they're not making this and actually trying it out. So we have a toasted marshmallow syrup, which I think is phenomenal. It has that nice toasty, smoky burntiness that you look for in marshmallows and what gives it that really good flavor. For chocolate, you could have went chocolate syrup or maybe a chocolate liqueur, but I didn't want that. We went with the Bitterman's Mole Bitters. It's subtle, it's chocolate, it's cinnamon, a little bit of spice in there from just the different flavors that they combine in there.
Right.
The sweetness of the toasted marshmallow, I decided to use Old Granddad 100 proof. Well, actually we used 114 proof for the recipe at work.
Right.
But I think the 100 proof is a little bit better. It's not as hot. And so I tried a couple times with the combination and just wasn't mashing properly. And so I decided to take marshmallow fluff and add it to the bourbon to let it infuse or fat wash. I actually don't know which technique that technically would be called.
I mean, I feel like fat washing is an infusion of one nature or another.
Right.
So I feel like you could say just marshmallow fluff infused bourbon.
Yeah.
And we specifically used Old Granddad because of the sweet characteristics it already has and the vanilla notes that are in there to make it taste more like a graham cracker.
Yep. And I actually got this idea from Jessica Savage when she did her Nutella infusion with bourbon. I don't know, I kind of saw that and I thought that was interesting the way that she did that. So I kind of did the same way. What we're gonna do is we're gonna show you how to make each of these. They're both pretty simple. And then we're going to make a S'mores Old Fashioned. All right, so now we're gonna make the toasted marshmallow syrup. It's actually pretty easy to make. It took me a couple different times to figure out exactly how much marshmallow to add to make sure it didn't gel because there's gelatin in marshmallows. If you add too much, overnight your syrup becomes gelatin and looks weird and just is not perfect. So we're just gonna start off by first adding sugar. We're gonna weigh everything out in grams. We're gonna do 300 grams of sugar. We have our sugar measured out, and now for the marshmallows, we're gonna do a fifth of the weight that we did in sugar. So this is gonna be 60 grams of marshmallows. So we're gonna measure it out first. It shouldn't be too many. Just 8 marshmallows, and then now we're going to toast it. Now we're gonna toast them. I would say get it a little bit more toastier than normal, maybe not completely black, but you want that flavor to really come through. And I think that looks good. And then we're just gonna place them in the sugar. And now we're gonna add 300 grams of boiling water. Just gonna use my electric kettle here. Electric kettle. All right, got the water boiling now. 300 grams again. Now we're just gonna stir this until everything's dissolved. All right, if you do a larger batch than this, you might have to do this on the stovetop because that's a lot of marshmallows to cook down or melt down, I guess. I have it where I want it, it's good to go. So now I'll just take my crew bottle and filter out all the particles, the burnt particles, because I don't want those actually in the syrup. I just wanted the flavor and it'll work. Some of the particles do go past the fine mesh, which is perfectly fine. It'll help keep adding that flavor to the toasted portion of it. There you got toasted marshmallow syrup. To make the marshmallow infused bourbon, super easy to do. Just grab yourself a mason jar and a lid. I like these plastic screw-on lids. A lot nicer than the normal lids for canning because I'm not canning. So I'm just gonna pour the whole bottle of Old Granddad 100 in the mason jar. Then I'm just gonna take your marshmallow fluff that you can get at any grocery store, and we're just gonna use half. Now, usually I like to weigh out things so it's always correct and precise, but This stuff is super sticky and messy, so instead of like getting like 3 different things, sticky, messy, I just kind of estimate on scooping out half of it and just place it right in the mason jar. And just put the lid on. You can already start to see that the alcohol is basically eating away at the marshmallow fluff. And that's basically all it's gonna do, right? It's gonna dissolve because of the high alcohol content. It's basically gonna melt the marshmallow fluff. It takes about, I'd say between 4 and 8 hours. So usually just leave this overnight and it's done in the morning. And yeah, we're just gonna filter out in a couple hours. All right, so now it's the next day and now we have to filter out the rest of the residue from the marshmallow fluff from the bourbon. So just take your empty bottle here. And I like to use these coffee filters that are more cone shaped. Just pour and wait. It's not the fastest process in the world, but to speed up this process, we buy funnels from your local auto parts store. You can buy a variety pack for very cheap. Just set of funnels and more filters. Helps speed it up. All right, now since you have everything prepared, now it's time to make that tasty, tasty treat. So we're going to do 1/4 ounce of the toasted marshmallow syrup, 2 dashes of the mole bitters. I like to build everything in glass on an old fashioned, just makes it simpler, and a large ice cube. Now 2 ounces of the marshmallow fluff infused bourbon. All right, we're just gonna give this a slight stir for about 10 seconds. And then now the fun part, we're gonna smoke this bad boy. Now when you use these smoker tops, you don't need a lot of wood inside the smoker top, just a little bit, because it restricts airflow if you pack it full. And we're also toasted marshmallow, because it is called a s'mores old fashioned. So we're gonna get our torch here, smoke that, and then smoke your marshmallow. And there we have a s'mores old fashioned. All right, let's try these delicious smoky treats. Dink.
Oh yeah.
It hits the spot because
it really does. It's as close to a s'mores as you can get while still maintaining the boozy integrity of an old fashioned.
Yeah, I mean the chocolate's subtle, the marshmallow's subtle, but it's still there.
It's all there.
It's all there. It is a little sweeter than like the normal old fashioned I would make.
Right, but that's to be expected when it's called a s'mores old fashioned.
Yeah.
When literally every ingredient in that treat is sugar.
Right. Yeah. It's so funny when people order this at work, like, is it gonna be super sweet? I go, do you read the next line? And they're like, overproof, 114 proof, or 114 bourbon.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I'm like, yeah, there's a reason. So
it's gonna be sweet, but it's not as sweet as you would think it would be.
Yeah, you know, obviously it's kind of a novelty thing. A lot of people like to order because it is s'mores old fashioned. They just want to give it a try. A lot of people really like it. Some people not so much because it's a lot boozier than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
But I think this is a pretty damn good drink.
This is by far my favorite old fashioned.
So with the marshmallow, I get the number one question is, what do I do with it? And I tell people, it's like, choose your own adventure. Just don't eat the whole thing right away.
Right.
Don't go back down an adventure because that's boring.
You need that aroma too.
Right, you need the aroma. And you get little bites, you know, take a little bite of it.
I like to move it down to the end of my skewer and stir it in because I like things a little bit sweeter. But yeah, this marshmallow isn't done enough for me, so I'm not getting to do that.
You can batch this cocktail up, you know, pre-batch it, and then take it to camping with you. When you go camping, obviously, sitting around the campfire, you'll get that smoke effect.
Right.
You know, but you can, you know, make the mole bitters, toasted marshmallow syrup, and the bourbon, put it back together in a bottle, take a whole bottle with you, so you have it.
This would be really easy to batch and take with you. It would also be extremely dangerous because you know you're drinking something boozy, but it goes down so easily.
Right. Let us know what you guys think. What are some of the favorite riffs of old fashions that you like? We always like learning about new ones, trying as many as we humanly possibly can. Our upcoming video, we're gonna do a comparison of 3 different 100 proof bourbons and see, does it matter?
Right, did we choose correctly for the menu?
Right, exactly. So yeah, cheers everyone.
Cheers.